So, Hare Krishna, welcome back again on this series, Guru Padashraya, in which we are inviting very senior disciples of His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj to speak about their interactions with His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj. So, today we have with us His Grace Krishna Chandra Prabhu, who is associated with His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj for more than 40 years. His Grace Krishna Chandra Prabhu, also known as Sri Rishikesh Arvind Mafatlal. You know, all of you must have heard this name. He is the chairman of the Arvind Mafatlal Group. This Arvind Mafatlal Group is very famous in textile industry as well as in the rubber industry. Nosil Limited, all of you must have heard the names of these companies and use their products also. His Grace Krishna Chandra Prabhu has got his first initiation in 1986. He was introduced to ISKCON in 1985, and he has served in all possible areas of our temple, right from the kitchen to the marriage board to the counselors board. He is one of the senior most counselor in the temple. He is the member of the leadership council. He has been a guiding light for many grahasthas, many devotees. He has worked towards development of this temple, towards the development of Govardhan Eco Village, and has been an integral part of each and every project of our temple. As regards his educational qualifications are concerned, he has done his advanced management program from the famous Harvard University. He has been a trustee of our temple, of Govardhan Eco Village, of Bhaktivedanta Hospital, of the Gopal's Garden High School. Rather, I would say he is involved in each and every project which are the dream projects of His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj. He is also a chairman of BAIF, a NGO which is working in 17 states of India for rural alleviation. Apart from all these services, he is also the chairman of the Nisargopchar Naturopathy Ashram at Urli Kanchan.
Hare Krishna. Srila Radhanath Swami Maharaj ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj entered my life in perhaps my most challenging, difficult, bewildering period, almost 40 years ago. And he spent so much time. If I were to look at these over 40 years, the most remarkable thing that I find is that there is a consistency which is inhuman. It's not possible for a human. Not just in the matter of consistency in philosophy, but consistency in every aspect of behavior. For instance, his compassion, his love, his transparency. How can anyone, every moment, every day, every month, every year, consistently be the same? It's only possible if somebody who really is completely absorbed in that mood and in that at that level. So I think I'm saying for what everyone would also understand. His Holiness Sachidanand Maharaj mentioned about many years ago about a dialogue he had with Radhanath Swami Maharaj regarding how he has developed this community. And when Sachidanand Maharaj asked him, so Radhanath Swami Maharaj mentioned that philosophy comes later. A person would like to see an association that works. A person who comes from outside would like to see that there is a community of people who depend on each other, who are there to help each other. When that person sees this in live action, then that person makes a decision that, yes, I want to belong to this community, I want to belong to this temple, I want to associate with them. So this was Radhanath Maharaj's very revealing thoughts. And he also mentioned that he gave a particular story. He said that in maybe 25 years ago in Dallas temple, he Radhanath Swami Maharaj had met a person who was always, he was there for more than 10 years, but he never made a permanent commitment. So he was very favorable, supportive. So when Maharaj asked him, so this person mentioned that, I've been coming here regularly and I've seen how you treat your um, guests like me who come on and off to the temple. And I've also seen how you uh, deal with devotees, your own people, every day. And I'd rather be a permanent guest. This was what Radhanath Swami Maharaj mentioned to Sachinanda Maharaj, which implied that, how Maharaj felt that his whole thinking was um, that we have to really create an environment where people can stay together and they don't want to leave. So he mentioned to Sachinanda Maharaj that a most crucial aspect of how we want to retain people is that we have to do everything we can to see that the person never wants to leave the temple, never wants to leave the association. We have to give everything in our capacity that we should do that. So now, if you were to look at Radhanath Swami Maharaj's life, and just this is open for tens of thousands of people who have met him, who know him, who have seen him, who have heard him, and you compare whatever he says, he exemplifies first. So it doesn't sound like preaching. It's an inspiration for us that we want to follow. He doesn't even ask us to be like that. But everything that so when he said that we have to give every ounce, everything that we for that to see that the devotee wants to remain. So sacrifice everything for anyone in devotee. And then you have so many examples of in His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj's life. For instance, when we had the air crash about 13 years ago, it was an absolute devastation. And there was one particular family where this young girl of maybe 17 or 18, she lost her parents and her brother. She was hysterical. And she picked up the phone and spoke to Radhanath Swami Maharaj. And Maharaj was in the US. She's here. Maharaj just heard and he just got the next available flight. He was not in good health. Flew all the way here, just to try to give solace to that family and also to some of the others, because all the 8 members were very much loved by the community. So there are umpteen examples like that when he will go out of his way. With his godbrothers also, he spends several hours, um, talking 3-4 hours, even when he's not well, because he really wants to wherever he is needed, he would do anything that is possible. About 30 years ago, one Sharad Purnima night in Vrindavan, that time we were staying in the Jankinath ashram, and on the Sharad Purnima evening, Maharaj fractured his leg. He was alone. He was just coming out of, I believe, Seva Kunj, going to Radha Damodar temple. And in the evening, he fell into the gutter, and it was a bad fracture. Because devotees, the assembled guests were expecting him to talk, so somehow he went right up to his neck into the sewage, the gutter. Completely, his clothes were smelling filthy, but his leg was broken. Somehow he hauled himself out, put himself in an auto rickshaw, came all the way to Jankinath ashram, and he knew that it was that once he was staying on the second floor. He knew that once he goes up, he's not going to come down for a long time. So he actually somehow he went there. Nobody could make out, but he went and sat in the seat on the ground floor in the hall. He gave the full lecture, and after the lecture, then Vishwarup Prabhu, who was actually the kind of host who was staying there, he came, and then Maharaj revealed to him that he picked him up because Maharaj could not walk. He took him in his hands and he took Maharaj up, and for 3 months he had his leg in his plaster. But his single-minded purpose was that devotees were expecting him to talk. It was a very important thing. That came first. His health was secondary. On one of the yatras, one boy got lost. Somehow he was about 12 or 14 years old. We had finished the Govardhan Parikrama. So almost everybody had gone in the buses. But Maharaj, when he heard this, he walked back into Shyam Kund, Radha Kund to search for him. Devotees were telling that Maharaj will find him. He just went straight there, and then they found him. He had gone somewhere. But that shows that how that is his nature. That is he. So when somebody like that is it's not a matter of who we are. It's just that he, irrespective, anybody who is there to be served, Maharaj will serve him. He doesn't go by hierarchies. Then automatically that inspiration comes. So that consistency of his all his traits, his humility. I mean, we never knew about all his entire life in such detail, how he came to his journey home, only till he wrote the book, and that was only in 2007 or 8. So it was more than 20 years after he had started coming to Mumbai. Several hundreds of his disciples didn't know the details. He didn't need to. He would not have spoken had he not given that promise to Bhakti Swami on his dying bed. And Bhakti Swami had told him that, you are promising, you promised to me, and you have to keep your promise, because this a promise given to a dying man, you have to follow. So Maharaj reluctantly wrote that, and that is shown revealed to the whole world how much of his what a kind of value he has added to millions of people in this country. And Maharaj's health in between was not at all good. In fact, he was on a there were many items which he was not supposed to eat. But when he would go travel out of Mumbai, and people would give him, devotees would offer him, in spite of being told that he can't have these things, still they would offer him various items, and he would still take it. And he would tell the devotees that, to us, those who were aware of his restrictions, he said, you are supposed to make sure that it doesn't come on the plate. But if it is on the plate and if it is offered to me, then I see the love that the devotee has put into that preparation, and they're offering to me. So it doesn't matter whether my health is spoiled or not. I will definitely satisfy that person's heart. But if you feel that it is bad for my health, and you have to see it doesn't come on that plate, so the entire onus is on us. Similarly, as I mentioned, Bhakti Swami is like that. Maharaj has been crisscrossing the country, and in the US particularly, just out of his love for the devotees, his own god brothers and god sisters, his gratitude to Srila Prabhupada, to try to encourage them, to bring them back into those who are not well, or those who are struggling spiritually. Maharaj has been spending so much time with them and really making that reconnection so well. Like, for instance, Her Grace Janki Mataji, who's the younger sister of Yamuna Mataji, the very first, first Mataji in the history of ISKCON who joined the movement, who got married, the first devotee who got married to now who's Mukund Maharaj. So he met, and she listens to his cassettes, and she's so much revived. Her Grace Ragini Mataji in France was suffering from a fatal illness, and she passed away the last few months. Maharaj met her and gave her so much of confidence. So there are so many cases. So he makes it his mission to see that he can try and help them. Radhanath Swami Maharaj constantly tells us that it is the intent that is important. Krishna is a bhavagrahi. Krishna doesn't look at the quantity. It doesn't. It's not what you offer him. It's the consciousness and the heart and the transparency with which you are offering. That is most valuable. So he really and then with the way he exemplifies it, he shows as much love to someone who's come for the first time, or somebody who's there for the last 20 years. Anyone who comes to him, Maharaj's love is there for them. Radhanath Maharaj often quotes Prabhupada, saying that Prabhupada said that we should take responsibility. And this responsibility is of two types. One is for ourselves, when we have to follow our normal, the vows and sadhana bhakti. We have to take responsibility of our lives, basically, in trying to see that we can mold it to how we can help our spiritual master fulfill his mission. But the other is that it is a preaching movement. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is predicted, and Prabhupada has done so much to see that Krishna consciousness goes to every town and village. And for that is our responsibility, to try and see that we spread this, to help Maharaj, offer his services to Srila Prabhupada. Because Maharaj has been constantly saying that's a consistent thing from the beginning to the end. His life is only purpose is to serve as Guru Maharaj. That's his only purpose. And nothing will deviate from that. We have so many examples of how, for instance, when there was a marriage board which was set up, which was to facilitate any devotee who would like to look at other devotees, and we have certain data about it. So this is, again, I'm talking of 30 years ago. So one Mataji from a minority community. So she was starting to come to the temple. She was chanting 16 rounds, and she wanted to get married. So she gave her name. So we were all very excited. The congregation was very small. We were very excited, but um, we went to Maharaj and said, Maharaj, look, such and such Mataji has come and she would like to join. And the ashram, means she wants to marry. Maharaj is very grave. We know how compassionate he is and how much loving sentiment he has. But here, his focus, first thing he said that she has to get her parents' approval. Now, we knew that it is an impossibility because, a minority community, they are never going to agree. So he said, Maharaj, that won't happen. Then he said, very important, he said, I'm not going to risk one person's future. Means I don't want to risk our temples. I don't want any riots on the temple gates. Prabhupada's movement should not be at risk just because of one person's needs. He was very clear. So it was he and we know how loving he is, how much he has for every single person. But when it comes to an understanding for the mission, for Prabhupada's movement, the protection that he needs, he doesn't need even a second to be clear what he needs to do. That he didn't. It was really a revelation to us. So we were sentimental about it. Maharaj had a lot of loving sentiment, but he didn't deviate from that. Similarly, his humility. He tells that so many times. This is one of his favorite shlokas. He says, "Srinaropi sunichena tarorapi saishunam," but that we should be humble. Why is it so effective? Why devotees will try at least to be like that? Is because we see a living example. We see Radhanath Swami Maharaj so humble in whatever he does consistently. That's his nature. Today also he has, from just a sannyasi that he was in the 80s, then he became a guru, he was in GBC, he has so many countries, responsibility. Now, irrespective of whether he's not, there are thousands of devotees who are, waiting to try to meet him, places where he doesn't even go. Still, he travels alone. So many times we tell, Maharaj is very clear. No, I'm very happy. I'm a very private man. I'm a very small man. I don't need. My needs are very simple. So Maharaj has never left that thought. He doesn't go by hierarchies. It's not like now he's become such a level, so he needs the whole entourage. Of course, people at that level, they have so much effect on the world, and having secretaries or having any attendants would be very helpful. So we would be very happy if Maharaj would take it, but he doesn't. That's his nature. He says, I'm very private, and I'm like during COVID also. He was very happy. He said for 1.5 years he was alone. He was cooking alone, get the vegetables that some devotee who stayed some few miles away would just come and put to the doorstep. Because he has spent several years here in India, the initial years and then later. So he's very self-satisfied, very composed and very... that doesn't change. His entire life is for others. But when the need for himself, he has practically no demands, no expectations. And that is why, that's why people also, his words are so effective. When he says that don't have too many desires, don't have too many aspirations, others would be back into lamentation and hankering and lamentation. So to avoid that, when he says that, then when we see his life, we can see how that is that we also would like to, at least in a small way, try and follow that. So that's why in everything he becomes so effective. The words he speaks, his terminology also, which comes naturally, it just reflects his simplicity and humility. He always says, they've given me a room. He doesn't say, this is my room, this is my space. And we've seen he has very modest quarters in Chowpatty. But he will tell others that they have given me a room. They means maybe temple management, but he is the whole and soul. I mean, everybody is trying to please him, but he will say they have given me a room. When he refers to one of his disciples, say let's say he's talking to me and he's referring to about someone, my godbrother. Maharaj will always say, your god brother or your god sister did this or said this. He never says, my disciple. It's just a natural way. He has this, his whole mood is completely as a servant of the servant of the servant. So when he tells us that that is the aspiration that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, that is our identity, and we see that in front of our eyes that he's living that, then at least in some ways, at least sometimes we are reminded. Because here is a person who at all times, consistently with everyone, it doesn't deviate. Whether he's meeting the president of the country, whether he's meeting the president of the US, he's the same. Another thing, he's completely non-judgmental. So he appreciates everybody. He appreciates them. He has no criticism. It's impossible to find him ever. That's one of a no-brainer to see that he never criticizes, because he only sees the positives. And in that, because he appreciates, he always says that, if you have pleasing words to others, if you really are looking positively about someone, see the good qualities. Don't look at the other don't look at, everyone has weaknesses. So if you look at that, then the tongue can either criticize or the tongue can praise. So if we really appreciate, then the urge to criticize will go away. Again, we see him, constantly, even the smallest thing, he will really encourage. And it's never flattery. He means it. He's so grateful. When he expresses gratitude, it is with such deep feeling. And we will, devotees around him, we're astounded. What have we done? We have done nothing. He's doing everything, but he doesn't see it that way. He doesn't see that. He actually sees himself as a very small person, and that whatever has been there, all is grateful to his Guru Maharaj, because he has created a situation where all of us, his community of tens of thousands of disciples are there. He's so grateful to ISKCON, he's so grateful to his god brothers. So he puts that into his relations with others, and it comes out in such a humble way. It's always pleasing. So if you see about his communication, I don't think there's anyone in this entire planet that I have met who communicates so well. I mean, I have never heard a word out of place in every lecture, and I think I'm sure everybody agrees. It's not just eloquence; it is his wisdom, it coupled with his purity and his humility. Because he's following Bhagavad Gita, 17.15, I think 17.15, which says the austerity of speech is that your words which are spoken, which are non-agitating, which are pleasing, which are beneficial, which are scripturally relevant, based on scriptures. I see every one of them. He's exactly like that. He speaks such pleasing words and never agitating. They're full of wisdom, scripturally based. So all the time, he consistently chooses his words, and he deliberates and thinks, and sometimes he's spontaneous. But whatever comes out, it is not only from his heart, but also is a combination of his heart, his intelligence. So even his humor, his wit, one sees that it is never to demean anyone. It actually enhances our love for him, for Krishna consciousness, for the devotees. So we see the lighter side of life in anything. He has such amazing wit. He just picks a word, but it's always Krishna conscious. So for him, those are very pleasing words, and everyone hankers to hear him or to be with him. Anyone who meets him, so why is that so? That why we would always like to spend more time with him is because we come out feeling much better. He brings the best out of us. That is with everyone. He will, whatever we have, whatever our capacity, he brings the positives in us, the best in us, and then at least for those moments or for the time, our weaknesses subside, and maybe we get some encouragement to see that we work on it. Maharaj puts maximum emphasis on tolerance. There was a time when during the Bhagavatam lectures, classes, he would make everybody speak out loud. About one in Krishna book, there's a statement, Prabhupada writes, that the greatness of a person is estimated by how he or she can tolerate provoking situations. And then Maharaj would say it and then ask the audience, all the devotees, sometimes thousands are sitting there, to speak. Everybody will speak. Then he said louder, then louder. So it was also fun But if we, in retrospect, when we see, it is such a deep, deep effect that life is, when we have to tolerate so many aspects. We think most of the things are not in our control. But then when we find that little easier to tolerate when we see someone who has tolerated so much. I mean, even before the journey home came and we saw what he's gone through and the kind of difficulties, even before joining ISKCON, and then of course after joining ISKCON also, he had so many, he has been criticized, slandered also. I have seen also when he was, before he became a guru also, he was criticized. He never ever gives any importance to it. Never. Not only that, he completely forgets about it. He never, the person may have spoken something negative, he doesn't hold it in his heart. He never, it doesn't come out. It's not that he has to control himself. It is the way he's made. He only sees the positive. So his tolerance has been astounding. For him, there is no difficulty in that in so many ways. There are so many instances that I can recall when Maharaj, like for instance, once at a house he was not well and he had a severe headache. And for 2 days, he didn't open his door. He told us that I'm just resting and I don't want to, I don't want anything. Literally for 2 days, he didn't have anything to eat. Must have had water inside. That's it. He just lay down. And later on, we came to know when he opened the door, because we were anxious because, we have never seen anything like this. Like, you want medicine, you want something where we can help. Then he came out and he was very back to the way he was. And he said, no, I had a severe headache and I wanted to just try to see Krishna through my headache. So he just spent 2 days lying on the bed, just I don't know what he did, but he and it was between him and Krishna. So he normally we would just pop a pill or at least do something. He was absolutely clear. Everything he does is so Krishna conscious. He's had to tolerate his disciples' mistakes. But he never shows that. He encourages in spite of sometimes serious goof ups. But he sees the intent. If the intent is to try to help, he just writes that nobody ever feels despondent in his presence. His health has been, at least now, is better because he takes much more care. But earlier he had more pressure on, so his health was oftentimes very poor. And I've heard from the doctors, especially Dwarkadish Prabhu, those who treat him, quite a few times, like when Maharaj has to give a Bhagavatam class and he's in such bad shape. He's so weak, he's not able to get out of bed. 5 minutes before, 10 minutes before, Dwarkadish Prabhu is called in his room, and he sees him. He's lying down. He's very, very, very weak. But still, he will go to give the class. But when we are sitting in the class, we don't even know because he's speaking like a lion. He's so animated. He gets so engrossed, so happy speaking about Krishna consciousness. But 5 minutes before, he was completely so weak. So we've heard this from the doctors, and they're amazed. They say, how does he tolerate this? What is his capacity? He's also had to tolerate on a personal level. There was a time when he was in the late 80s. Maharaj wanted that every day he wasn't a guru that time, but he was you can say he was a mentor and he was a guide for the whole entire congregation, whatever the number there was. But he used to insist that every single day, 7 days a week, we must have some program somewhere. So the congregation was small. So between us, maybe 10, 15 families would rotate and and the program means maybe 25, 30 people. We call some neighbors, some relatives. And then some people get interested and they have a program. So, Sadhya Prabhu's house and Abhay Charan Prabhu's house and, those Vidur Prabhu, Sachidanand Prabhu's, so, like that, it used to rotate. Srinathji Prabhu's house, Mahaprabhu. I used to drive him there, and my driving now I don't drive, but my driving was very poor. My road sense is not good, and he has never once, out of those so many trips that we had, sometimes I will get lost and we roll down the window. I have to ask someone in Mumbai also, okay, where do I go to, this place, that place, and then 2-3 times. He doesn't even give an indication that it is a worry. He puts his leg up. He has his Bhagavatam in his hands and he's just reading that. couple of times I had very narrow misses, with my driving, and only once he just said, "Hurry, hurry," that's it. So it gives so much. I was feeling guilty, but at the same time, I was feeling so grateful to him, that this is a glaring weakness of mine, um, and still he just tolerates it. So, whether it's his health, whether other people's mistakes, other people's behavior, and he glides over it. And it's not like he has to grit his teeth and tolerate. He's so happy tolerating it. It just doesn't make any difference. Above everything, Radhanath Maharaj constantly stresses about cooperation and unity. In our temple also, the statement of Srila Prabhupada that you can demonstrate your love for me by how you cooperate with each other, it is so much important for Maharaj. He's doing everything he can. If you see, it is a pattern. For instance, one of the most important things, and that's the success of the Chowpatty temple, has been the interdependency and the relationship between ashrams. It is unique between the grihasthas and the brahmacharis, and even between the involvement of Matajis also. Uh, it is now, one may say, in the 2025, that is quite commonplace. But when we're talking of 1987, 1988, it was practically unheard. There was no congregation, first of all. And I remember when we started attending programs, and we used to go to Jew, and when we started Chowpatty temple in 87, 88, the normal pattern was the deities are in the front, and the men are standing in the front, and the ladies are at the back. That was the standard way. Maharaj just made one change. There was always a rope between the men. He just changed the rope from this way to this way, midway. So the ladies on the right, the gents on the men on the left. The message went very clear that everybody has the same access. It's not a gender issue. I mean, Krishna, Radha Gopinath is for everyone. Similarly, for the ashrams, you would encourage so much. You tell the brahmacharis about the glories of the grihasthas. They're sacrificing so much. They could earn so much more. They're spending so much time here, and really the brahmacharis also, those who are in the ashram would see it the way that the Maharaj would explain it. And likewise with the grihasthas also, he really instilled this, that how important it is for the grihastha ashram to be serving the renounced order, to be serving. These people have sacrificed everything. They could have done so much more in their life materially, but they are doing it for spiritual progress of the thousands of people, including all of us. And that was not a lecture. It was not a drill. It was by demonstration. Like Maharaj would, when he would speak about it, he would talk about grihasthas in the presence of brahmacharis. He would talk about brahmacharis in the presence of grihasthas. And then when we used to meet, then that bond became so strong that it became unshakable. And it has remained so, and that is, I would say, the bedrock of how this has gone about. And at the same time, Maharaj was extremely particular about that time. The brahmacharis in the initial stages, like it was commonplace that they would be doing fundraising, they were managing even the accounts and things like that, administrative tasks also. And Maharaj put a lot of emphasis that for the devotees in the ashram, they should spend time in studying philosophy in the morning programs, and spending time with each other. Very serious for the first 5-6 hours, till from 4:35 till about 9:30, 10. And then they used to have tests also. So he put a lot of emphasis on that. And automatically the grihasthas were roped in to be in committees on, especially on the administrative matters. So that way the interdependency increased. In that, because Maharaj was also very strict about Vaishnava etiquette, and especially to protect the ashram, he would tell the grihasthas also that, the interactions between the brahmacharis and the Matajis has to be restricted. That was clear, understood. It should only be for the services. At the same time, over the last 30 years, one of the most pleasing and amazing things that we see, and I know this, I can say this for hundreds of Matajis, maybe more, who have been there for 10 years and more, that the kind of deep respect they have for the renounced order, it's amazing. They hardly interact, or very, very rarely. But it is just because they see Maharaj's qualities in these brahmacharis, or they see that the effort is being put in the ashramites, even the newcomers also. And likewise, I am amazed to see how the brahmacharis have so much genuine respect. They consider, as Maharaj always tells them, that the Matajis are like mothers, and many of them are elderly also, comparatively much older. But nevertheless, the whole So this shaping, molding of the congregation's interdependency to bring unity to serve Prabhupada's mission has been astounding, because Maharaj has put in the maximum effort to see that whatever we do, like book distribution marathon, it's a wonderful example from so many, like 25, 30 years. The grihasthas, either they're manning the stations or the tables, but they'll provide their car, they'll provide their house, they provide prasad. So Mataji's come and give prasad. There are so many ways. And they also the grihasthas come to the temple to assist when brahmacharis are going. Many brahmacharis go to with the bus party outside. There are less people here. On yatras, for instance, the brahmacharis are the temple is short, and people, the grihasthas, come to help those who are staying, who cannot go. Then they come and take over the DT kitchen, DT department, DT dressing, so on. So managing the temple. So this is going on, and it has come so naturally. So there is an interdependency, intertrust that has been built. And one of the most obvious examples of unity has been the yatras. You can say it's a genius, but it was a vision of Maharaj, because based out of his constant thought, how we can bring the families together, how we can bring the community of devotees together, the association of devotees. As Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said that without association, if someone thinks he can make spiritual progress, he's insane. So how do we do that? So it started very nominally, very casually. Both the Pune Yatra as well as the Kartik Yatra, and both in 1986. Pune Yatra, there was some 60 odd people, and very casually, it was like a getaway for 2 days. But then that built over the next 23 years to, like, from 64, it grew to something like 44,800 people. And the mood there was entirely how then for 3.5 days to come together, forget about your occupation, profession, household duties, just absorb yourself in the morning program, the lectures, the kirtan. There used to be 4-hour morning program, 4-hour Mangal Aartis. You get over at 10 o'clock. Bhagavatam would get over at 3:30. The question answers would go on for 3-4 hours, and we had an array of galaxy of Prabhupada disciples on the stage. Sometimes 5, 6, 7 of them would be there. And time was conspicuous by its absence. There was no pressure. So devotees just loved it. And the Matajis, Malti Mataji, Yamuna Mataji, many times when those senior Matajis came, then they had separate meetings with the girls, the younger ladies. So that served one purpose. And then the Kartik Yatra, Maharaj it was taking us, the first one was to Vrindavan. Gradually that also evolved, and that has gone into, as you all know, like we had now 10, 12,000 people. It serves so many purposes. Now we have 900 volunteers who serve. So Maharaj's idea was to involve devotees. So it's not only that the families come together, not only the children get a chance to be together. So everyone would like to have a vacation or to go out to their normal workplace for some time, but they do it in such a way that they are very happy. That mood is exciting. I mean, people are looking forward to it. And the Kartik Yatra planning starts by January of the previous year. So now this January for the next November month, 10 months before, the advance parties will go 2-3 times. So it was these various steps, and Maharaj has been the catalyst. So without making it obvious, there are so many subtle messages that emanate from Maharaj's behavior, talk, his emphasis. He will speak something about and then everyone gets the message over time. For instance, when we talk of the unity, in the ashram also, in the brahmachari ashram, I have seen the principles of that were laid down for the brahmachari ashram more than 30 years ago. It's amazing that every word is so relevant today. But I would not go into all of them, but just say, for instance, how Maharaj emphasizes that they must, above everything else, develop loving relation between each other. They have their own counselors. They support each other. So he knows that the emotional requirement is also everywhere. Also, when brahmacharis, sometimes a few of them decide at some point in time when they want to get married, initially sometimes some devotees would, because that was the way they thought, they've left the ashram, so they've left are they leaving the movement? They blooped, But Maharaj actually said, this is glorious. If somebody has spent maybe 3 years or maybe 7 years or 8 years in the ashram, they've taken training, they have come to a level of such much better self-control direction in their life. Also, they have a deeper connection with the philosophy and with Prabhupada's mission, and now they're entering an ashram. So they should be felicitated. There has to be a program. So they have a welcome. They have a you can say it's like a party. I mean, it's like a farewell which is given to which is honored. The devotee is honored. It's a farewell. Somebody who's going there into another ashram. So he completely changed the outlook. There's a paradigm shift in thinking. We could see that yes, that somebody has has now is moving to another ashram, but with loads of experience, maturity, understanding, and it's the ashram may be switched, but the heart is attached to the Krishna consciousness movement. There was regarding this unity again, one other example. Many years ago, when we were selling maybe 70, 80,000 or distributing 70, 80,000 Bhagavad Gitas every year, I remember one time Baldev Prabhu announced in presence of Maharaj, after that month was over, that Maharaj, we distributed such and such, maybe 80,000 Bhagavad Gitas, and everybody clapped and roared. It was a big achievement. And he said, Maharaj, please bless us that we will distribute 1 lakh Bhagavad Gitas next year. So Maharaj instantly took the mic and said, I pray that we distribute 1 lakh Bhagavad Gitas, and I pray that we are last. We didn't understand that. But immediately then later it sunk that what Maharaj was saying, that he wants everybody, all the temples to go beyond 1 lakh. So that is his prayer. So he definitely wants that we go to the highest. So this is how he looks at, you get the message as soon as he speaks. His statement came spontaneously, immediately. At the same time, last year, when the Baldev Prabhu and the book distribution committee were talking to him, asking about his, they were telling him what goals they want to keep for the book distribution, the marathon. So Maharaj said, suddenly he said, you should try to be first. So the brahmacharis who were talking to Maharaj were quite surprised, because all the time Maharaj would say, no, you should be last, but do the best you can. And he said, now you be first. Then Maharaj said, His Holiness Gopal Krishna Maharaj has just departed some months ago, and he is seen as the king of book distribution. He's the godfather of book distribution, at least in India, the way Srila Prabhupada wanted. And if we come first, then all glories will go to Gopal Krishna Maharaj, that he was the inspiration for our temple and we did what we could. And so see his thinking, he's so much in the mood of unifying everyone, mood of glorifying his own god brothers, in the mood of seeing that we can do the best service to Srila Prabhupada. So all of it he achieves. His mood is entirely in that direction. He loves devotees. Maharaj loves devotees, loves all people, loves animals. He has so much of love and compassion. But that love also goes into trust. It's astonishing how much Maharaj trusts devotees. I don't think there's any disciple of his 11, 12,000 disciples whom Maharaj may have asked, over the last 30 years, that how many rounds you've chanted, or have you chanted rounds today? What book are you reading? Have you read this book today? He trusts us. He trusts devotees to do what we can to try to help him. He inspires. He's not somebody who is kind of command and control. He's entirely up to his inspiration. So Maharaj's mode is entirely how we can inspire others. Same way, in the beginning when we joined ISKCON, rejoined ISKCON rather, in 1994, we came up. I mean, some of us in the temple came up with the idea that because we needed funds also, so we said, why don't we have a life membership program the way Juhu has? Because Juhu has a very thriving life membership program, started in the 70s when Srila Prabhupada was present. His Holiness Giriraj Maharaj was behind it. And many of the life members are in South Mumbai, very near a temple. So it's not an expensive thing. They can also be our life members. They can be there. Immediately Maharaj said, no. He said, we are the younger brother, they are the big brother. Let us not get into a competitive mood. After 5-7 years, again we said, Maharaj, now we can look at it again. He was very clear. Another 10 years, 3 times we went to him, he was very clear. So now that matter is closed. He said, no, we have to inspire. We don't need to ask. We don't want to create an atmosphere that people who come in feel that somebody is going to accost me. Supposing someone who's materially well off and he comes, everyone goes to him, or somebody comes and asks him for donations. So Maharaj said, no, that's not the mood. We go once a year during Janmashtami, and we may inspire people, and we may say, this is our program. If they like it, we give information. We should do that, because many people are looking for, they love the temple, and they said, where should we help? What can we do? So that is another thing. So his mood was that Juhu has always been our, it's the most iconic and most famous temple of ISKCON perhaps in the entire world, the maximum time that Prabhupada spent. And he said, let's not get into that mood. This was 30 odd years ago. And that set the whole pattern. Otherwise, there could have been perhaps, because ultimately devotees are such small and few number. So his whole approach from the beginning instantly has been, so this vision of creating programs, creating different institutions, how they can serve, but all that is moving entirely towards serving Srila Prabhupada in a unified way, in a way where devotees they love each other more. After rejoining ISKCON, whenever ISKCON senior leaders, Prabhupada disciples would come to a temple, one of the most pleasing sights would always be to hear and see how Radhanath Maharaj would welcome and glorify his god brothers. He would speak for such a long time. Sometimes there would be 5-6 god brothers and god sisters. He would speak about each of them, and that was absolutely music to everybody's ears. And that is a sign of how much he really cares, and he just loves his god brothers so much, and they also love him. So the mood was, anything that, because he's so grateful that they have contributed so much for Srila Prabhupada. Many of them are senior to Radhanath Maharaj. So that is another instance also. A case in point about how much he trusts, devotees. So once he was giving a Bhagavatam class, and it was about 6 loving exchanges, as we read in Upadesh Amrit, Rupa Goswami's Nectar of Instruction, and especially about sharing your mind in confidence, and also hearing others in confidence. So after the class, I raised my hand and asked the question that, Maharaj, we may want to trust, but I find that when I tell somebody and then the word spreads, nobody can keep confidence. How do you trust anyone like this? You may want to tell, but there's nobody I feel I can trust. So Maharaj completely shifted the whole picture. He said, then you should be what you hope, what you want others to be. You be that. You become trustworthy if you feel that no others are not. And that really struck me. He said that why should you be worried about somebody or the other, in case you feel that you are not able to reveal, but you can be someone whom people can come and trust, people can come and reveal your heart. So his ability to completely change and bring the whole relevance, and the critical part is that we should concentrate on ourselves and see that whatever qualities we're expecting from others, we work on ourselves. Any weakness that is there, we first see others because we have that weakness. So Maharaj also said, he wants us to look at it ourselves. So another case in point about being united. An extraordinary quality of Radhanath Swami Maharaj is his alertness, his wakefulness. We call mindfulness. When you say alertness, means every moment he's completely alive to the presence. He's alive to what is happening around it every time. It isn't that you're in a public space. I've seen that when we are talking to him in private also, when he's fully aware of not just you, the others, or the issues at hand, and he's able to react instantly. It astounds me, like, now, especially in the last 10-15 years, his responsibilities have gone up so much. His people are coming to him so often, and the meetings become shorter. There are a lot of people, he meets for 10 minutes and he meets somebody else for 15 minutes. Sometimes he may meet 10 or 12 people in a span of 3-4 hours. None of them will feel that they're pushed. He never makes them feel like that. But the amazing part is he not only has time for them, but he comes to the relevant part always, but the way he switches from one topic to another, he's so alert. I have sometimes I've sat in two or three, and they're completely not connected. And something may have been, somebody comes up and brings up something of long ago. He is aware of that. His memory is extraordinary, and he just picks up from the previous meeting to the next meeting, and he comes straight to the point. He gently, earlier, he would spend a lot of time, maybe an hour. Now he doesn't have that time. He has to finish in 10 minutes. His ability to be able to gently guide that person. I may have a habit of being long-winded and speaking so many things and coming, giving background, and Maharaj would just, without being abrupt, he'd just bring it to the key point, and he'd like put it, and we say, yes, 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 that is it, that's what I was trying to say. So he is so aware of the situation, aware. He's very deep listener. Very his focus on listening, he listens to every word, and this many devotees have seen that, and it's extraordinary how he doesn't miss a word. He concentrates and he takes it literally. Once one of our senior devotees, his daughter was born a little prematurely, 25 years ago, and he had gone to Maharaj and said, Maharaj, please pray for her. So Maharaj said, definitely I will. After about maybe 3 or 4 weeks, Maharaj met him in the temple. So he asked, so how's your daughter? So he said, oh, she's fine, Maharaj. So Maharaj said, nobody told me, I'm still praying for her. See, when Srinathji Prabhu had a very complicated heart surgery in Cleveland, 8-hour surgery, Maharaj was praying for him, for the entire 8 hours. So Maharaj, his ability to concentrate, focus on the relevant part, and that too, especially when you're speaking words, he takes words very. It's very important what you speak. We should not exaggerate or, be lofty and sometimes superficial. I had a personal example. Once Maharaj was in Italy, and I had something important to tell him or ask him. So I got a contact of that devotee in Italy. It was perhaps around 12:31 in the afternoon here, so it was about 9 o'clock in the morning there. So I called that devotee and said, no, I need to urgently speak to Radhanath Maharaj. So he went, and maybe a minute or 2 minutes later, Maharaj came on the line. So yes. So I just said, Maharaj, this and this. Then there was a 3-second pause. And Maharaj very gravely said, Prabhu, do you know the difference between urgent and important? This is not urgent. Urgent means life and death situation. I left a Bhagavatam class and I came here because you said it was urgent. I could have gone underground hearing that. It was devastating. But then I got the message that we just because you want to talk something, for you it's very important. So you just ask you should use the word urgent so often to get the attention of the other person. Maharaj he was very particular. He said urgent, so he came. Otherwise, if it was important, he would have said, then it can wait, and it could have waited. So he's always all ears. He's always alert to the situation. A very humorous situation happened once when a VVIP came to meet Maharaj at around 9:30, 10 in the night. A couple, very very important couple, and this was the time when Stoka Krishna Prabhu, our late beloved Stoka Krishna Prabhu, was attending to Maharaj. He was his assistant, and there was no prasad. Devotees had gone to sleep. This must have been 2003, 4, something like that, 20 odd years ago. And Maharaj said, you have to give some prasad. There was nothing at that time. So they went to the kitchen, and the kitchen was closed. Devotees were not there. So it was like a mini crisis. And I'm sorry, Stoka Krishna Prabhu was not it was Shikshashtakam Prabhu who told the story. So Shikshashtakam Prabhu was attending to Maharaj. So Maharaj said that, immediately Maharaj said, okay, look at Stoka Krishna Prabhu's locker. You'll find something there. Because Maharaj was so alert, he knew that Stoka Krishna Prabhu always loved laddus, and he would keep them wherever he had prasad, he would keep a few there. And lo and behold, when Shikshashtakam Prabhu went and opened his locker, he found the laddus there, and the crisis was averted. They could give the laddus to this VVIP couple. So, I mean, it was not meant to be a joke, but it sounded funny. But that time there was a kind of a crisis. But Maharaj was very alert. He's fully aware. So he can, but he lays it down. His role is always kind of played down. I mean, he drives his own vehicles always in the US, and especially when he was preaching, he used to crisscross 10 hours, 12 hours across. Even now, when he goes, sometimes he flies, but sometimes he drives. Um, and he knows everything about the cars. He doesn't have to tell anything. But once I had, some of us were with him. We drove from Pittsburgh to New York, 12 hours. And he always follows all the rules. He knows everything about the car, and we don't know anything. So he take to the garage. The automatic washing happens, everything. The oiling, and his that van which he had, Vrinda van he called it, that had DTs, that had books, because he used to be sometimes over. There was a small kitchenette was there inside the van, and a small place to sleep, because he could go for days. So he was so self-contained, and he knew everything, but he never has to speak and say that I'm doing this or that. It's just that somebody experiences and then realizes that he's an expert in everything. That there's so many things he knows, even in technology. People who help him on this mobile and other things, he's aware of everything. But that's not his inclination is not there. But it's a service, because he knows it's important, so he follows that. Regarding his ability to his emphasis on hearing every word, and also being very particular and respectful. Once Gaurang Prabhu was mentioning to me that he was talking to Maharaj, and he was referring to he was calling some other devotees, Gopi, Gopi. So he was referring to Gopinath Charan Prabhu. He just said Gopi, Maharaj said, who? So he said Gopi. Maharaj twice asked, Gopi, what is his name? Then Gaurang Prabhu got the message. He said, no, Gopinath Charan Prabhu. So, Prabhupada is, through Prabhupada Maharaj is given a name. Uh, he's so respectful. He means, we may call Prabhu, we may call Mataji, but we just say it because it's like a decorated term sometimes. But he actually means it, and he means what he says. So when somebody is referring to someone, it is a term of respect, then we have to say it respectfully. He doesn't just say it for the sake of it. Also in the Bhagavatam classes, he once mentioned that I remember every face, every person who's sitting where when I'm giving a Bhagavatam class. So it was quite a revelation, because he said I know who's sitting where. And so that means that he's able to absorb so many things. When he's giving a class, he's fully intent on that, but at the same time he has that innate ability to to know who's sitting where. So that's his kind of elephantine memory. He remembers all his disciples' names so many times. When you're talking to, I have an experience that I may say devotee in Goa, and I'm fumbling with the name. I said, Maharaj, such and such. I think Maharaj will say his name is Ranganath Charan Prabhu, or this or that, like that. Maharaj knows those names, and he remembers because he's given them, but he's given to thousands. It's amazing, extraordinary memory. He at the hospital also, Bhaktivedanta Hospital, Maharaj gives, that is an amazing project which he had initially a lot of. It wasn't very popular within ISKCON circles, because it was seen first as a philanthropic activity only. Only later, now everybody sees almost everyone sees how much impact it has had, how many devotees it has made. Thousands of people have started chanting. Lakhs of people's lives have been transformed, because they're connected to doctors whom they consider as authorities, and the doctors can change their lifestyle and their mood, etc. Maharaj has been he's a guiding force behind the Bhaktivedanta Hospital. So whenever he goes there once or twice a year, he always gives his instructions to the doctors and the senior leaders at the hospital. And he will always say, some of the key things he always says is that don't think that it is our project, it is Prabhupada's project. So any blot that we have is all going to be reflected on Srila Prabhupada. Another thing would say that this is not a hospital of hierarchies. You certainly have to have certain responsibilities. There is a director, you have people in charge, because such a large hospital. But don't act as if you are like in a corporate world. You had to, just because somebody is doing the housekeeping work, somebody is doing the nursing. There were 200 odd nurses. It doesn't mean that somebody is superior and somebody inferior. That kind of mood has to be there, and that's what we see. That's why Bhaktivedanta Hospital is unique, because Maharaj's emphasis has been that you keep that constant mood of trying to serve, first of all, serve the patients, but also the opportunity to serve the Vaishnavas, also honorably, being able to have a livelihood. It's a very nice example of Varnashram. So many goals are there. But for the devotees, serving Srila Prabhupada's disciples has been one of the most fulfilling. And so many dozens and dozens of devotees have come there, the senior disciples, because they're aging now. And that mood of considering that it's this Srila Prabhupada's hospital, Srila Prabhupada is right there, not only physically in the center of the hospital through his murti, but then his kirtan is there in the passages, in the rooms. So that is Maharaj's emphasis on that. One thing many people are not aware, that the hospital started in 1998, and after 4 or 5 years, maybe 5 years, there was a very serious incident. We had it was going on very well, but we had some bad elements who tried to take over the hospital's union from the outside. They were gundas, and they wanted to come and and then once they come in, then it becomes just a union, and the whole mood would change completely. We already had an internal union, which was well, but these people were trying to force themselves. There was a stabbing incident. One devotee got stabbed also. So we were forced to have a lockout. We actually shut down the hospital for 18 months. And when we were going to start again, we were talking to Maharaj, and we mentioned to him the incidents, and we said, this is what we're doing. And we were all focused on various things about uh, the practical aspects that we saw about the hospital, what was needed, that we need to have peace, we don't need to have any violence, we need to have security, we need to have a certain number of beds because economically viable. So it was all material talk in that sense. And Maharaj heard, and he just said, the single biggest problem that we have in the hospital, that we have deviated from what we committed to Srila Prabhupada. That we don't have a spiritual care department. The most important person in the hospital has to head the spiritual care. And this was not even a topic for discussion. We were talking about the labor issues, and for the several months before that, we were planning how we start it, and we have a management contract, and how we will take care of the people who are working there. Maharaj completely brought a dimension which we were not even discussing, but that was the key. Maharaj said that in one statement, he said, we are not following the most important thing. That of course there were devotees who were practicing there, but the hospital as a public spiritual institution, as a temple, as many patients call it, was not in that it wasn't presented that way. So he said that is what is missing, and he was correct. And then Radhanath Prabhu actually took that position straight away at that time, and ever since that, it is just and to the credit of all the employees and the doctors and the whole Bhaktivedanta hospital, because they are following Radhanath Swami Maharaj, and we have a constant advice from senior brahmacharis. Shyamanand Prabhu, earlier Bhaktivedanta Maharaj used to be there, Shyamanand Prabhu. So they are there to see that there is a right balance of both the spiritual and the professional need also. So it has worked well. But this awareness that Maharaj brought in completely changed the whole thing. Just one statement he made after hearing everything. So not that what was being said was not required, but the importance, the relevance, and the priority of emphasizing that, which we completely lost sight of. Maharaj also said the hospital should be fanatically clean, so that it is not even for the temple. He says it was the same when he came back from Amritsar after within a golden temple. He said we should really, even though it's small and congested at times, but the standard of cleanliness should be the highest. Of course, the standard in the DT rooms and all would be, but even otherwise, that has been a major impact. Also, regarding the hospital, one major instruction that Maharaj gave was that we should be very simple. But simple doesn't mean that you are ineffective. Simple doesn't mean that uh, we don't progress in our professional abilities, whether it is medical, or whether it is nursing, or whether it is administrative, human resource, finance. we should do our best. But simple means just that our goal should not be material. Simple means that we try to focus largely on the service, not deviate from that. And then, along with it, whatever our needs are, we will be meeting. So, this guidance has really been at the back of what is now a huge project of 300 beds and 1,200 employees. So, all because Maharaj has given that guidance from the very beginning, and not and because everyone wants to follow Maharaj, automatically, without his enforcing it, this has become a set pattern. And that's the way with his projects. Even GEV, his vision for, um, he felt that devotees in 10, 20 years will definitely feel the need more and more. And we're seeing there's so much of pollution and things are getting worse. So they will want to have an alternate lifestyle. There'll be more mental diseases, more problems, more pressures. Um, we're seeing this in the urban lifestyle, and that he thought of in the 2007-8, and when GEV land was taken up. We could see how he has been single-mindedly focusing on that to see that devotees now, and he wants more volunteers. He is very keen that we have volunteer services there, because devotees would like to come and help. So that he's seeing for the next 10, 20 years. So he's wanting to create a kind of a city which is outside the Mumbai city, which really will be not only a model for others, but also for the hundreds of devotees all over the world who are going to be there over the next year, 2 years, who will actually live and demonstrate how it can work. So, in the end, I would just like to say that recently Maharaj was asked in some forum outside the country, where we heard that, if you were to ask one thing about from your disciples, what would you ask? And Maharaj said that I would ask my disciples to have a big heart, such that they can accept everybody and give their love to everyone, without without any conditions. So, in other words, Maharaj really wants that we take away our prejudices, our likes, dislikes, our mood, and he doesn't have to preach. The minute what he says, the one constant I've seen is that whatever he says, he has already demonstrated it and exemplified it right through his life. So it's so glaringly open, and then it's just a matter of whether we are inspired or whether we are motivated, and whether we are serious, whether we are sincere to able to take that and make that extra step to overcome our weaknesses. So that's his whole approach, that how he goes about it, and he does this in such a loving way that even in the counselor system when he started, we couldn't understand the vision. He started 35 years ago. 3-4 times he had to come and restart it. Then devotees took to it, and today it has become a key aspect of our temple, where there are so many 150 mentors are there. But the idea was to what Maharaj is giving to all of us, has given to, when he was having more time, is given to all the earlier disciples. He wants that we give it to others who are coming in now, because it's not physically possible for him. Just like Prabhupada traveled 13 times around the globe, in just a matter of 12 years, he's planting the seed, and but he couldn't spend so much time in each place. Similarly, Maharaj also is doing in the same way, that wanting that we take up. That is our responsibility. That our responsibility towards if you want to please Radhanath Maharaj, how we can take this. So you don't have to be a formal counselor. That is one of the amazing things about our Chowpatty temple, that they have taken the spirit of Radhanath Swami Maharaj. We see there are so many people, young and old, that they're just happy to spread Krishna consciousness. That is what Maharaj wants. You don't have to have a title or designation that I'm president or I'm this or that. He's just, we have something to share, we want to give. So, there are small groups, and then somebody or the other brings someone in to the temple or to some program or gives them a book. So, this is how he has been coaching us, and in just through his example, and in his lectures and his classes, and the principles, whatever he speaks, he has been following that so deeply in his own life that devotees are trying to follow that. and we are all very beyond our own imagination. We have been so fortunate to be able to have a chance to try to serve him in his mission to serve Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.